They want to take a little bit of time to write the story, but we're going to create, in essence, a database of those people that have come by and are offering to be part of the constituent services story. And that's really an important thing. We're also working on, but are still working on, not only how it'll look, but how we're going to get it paid for, is going to a more digital video option as well. Some people speak better than they write, or their communication styles are better. And some people learn, the receivers can sometimes receive and get it faster video wise than they can reading it. So we're in the midst of kind of chasing down what that costs, what it would look like, and then searching out some potential funding with the man that's on the phone being part of it right now. You know yet, Rufino may be on that hook too. We're working through also the mechanisms of donation acceptance and record keeping through the Autism Caller as a fiscal agent. And so we will have more specifics on that so that donations can be made to support our activities and have the nonprofit donation tax deductibility and such that is an incentive for those types of things.
So what he's saying is at the tables, what it'll look like is our beautiful smiling faces meeting other families as they come. We have the click to do my story form, and I got some of those iPad stands where people can go right up to our table and fill out their story, and we can help them do that as it goes. Also get them connected into our social media groups, and if they want to be on our email list, so they can know, once that, not all of our off session topics are going to strike everyone's chord. So giving them an option of how to start getting engaged, have someone there to speak to them about our experiences on meeting with legislators. I think for a lot of families who have a lot going on, just giving them the comfort of knowing, hey, we've done it, and we survived, and it was a wonderful thing. And then also what Tom's talking about is with the video format. I've been playing around with how we could do this to really build that 5,000 person goal reach. And I looked into, how at like weddings you can toast the bride and groom, and they have these photo booths people could get it to. I priced those around the Orlando area of what that would be for us to rent it for the weekend. And families can come in and just say, hey, I'm Stephanie. I live in Collier County. I got these two amazing boys with developmental disabilities. I am your constituent, and I'd like to make an appointment with you to talk about these incredible boys, or whatever your 30-second snapshot is. And that way, that's just another way to engage and personalize our messaging. We still want everybody to make these appointments. I'm nervous that people will think, the videos will replace the need for the appointment. And this is just a way to further engage. We still want to have the one stories. We want to be able to, whatever your communication preference is, whatever who you're communicating is received, just to really build out the message that Floridians with developmental disabilities have needs, and we haven't quite met them all yet. Yes, Tom.
Remember, the whole idea of constituent services is a non-partisanship approach to this, where we're really building relationships, and it's really the stories and the needs that, when presented in that intimate setting of a constituent services relationship, it's different than walking the halls and kind of asking for things. And that's what this is. Again, the core is to personalize this, to make it human, to touch them, to give them the purpose of, this is what I got in the office to do. We were able to help touch the nerve. And so continuing that, again, there are big challenges. There's big challenges. There's still a big wait list. still a lot of people and there's still a lot of things. And so one of the things that I think would be important in conjunction with this is kind of maybe getting a little pulse of where things are. I was going to transition to reaching out and asking Alan specifically if you could talk a little bit about the upcoming rate increases, provider capacity, and how some of those efforts may influence what's going on coming up.
Okay. I can't put my screen on because I'm driving.
We know
I'm
you.
going to a meeting across town, but because the budget hasn't gone over to the governor yet, fortunately, we were in Pasadomo's bill, the 10% rate increase. So APD has already started putting in the rate increases for July, and instead of 10%, it looks like it's going to be 11% for most of them, which is good news because the past 10 years, whenever they got a rate increase, Barbara would take some to the side just in case they had problems later. And I give Taylor Hatch a lot of kudos for putting all the money in there so we can start expanding services. And so the advisory went out, I think it was yesterday.
Yes.
Where they're going to, or 2 days ago, and some complications because they're going to turn off iConnect for a little while. And Melissa can talk more about that because the waiver support coordinators are kind of in a bind now and getting stuff in because they're turning off the system so they can make changes. But my understanding is they're putting the rates in before July 1st. So it's not like we have to wait till September to start getting the back pay from back in July 1st. So that's good news right now.
And Alan, wouldn't you say from a actions speak louder than words? That's a very good demonstration, like you said, from Director Hatch's office to move that in an aggressive timeline rather than slow walking it.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I mean, we never had it where their intention is to do it ahead of time. I mean, I guess they always think they're gonna, but they never do. And fortunately, the bill passed early in session. I think the issue is iConnect's down in the system where they're going to make the changes. I guess it's the support coordinators that put it in there. They can't do it when the system's down. And I think the system's going to be down for about a week or so. Melissa? Is that right?
You're muted.
So the iConnect system went down last night and came back up after 2 a.m. But the cost plans and the budget tab are not available. That will not be up until next week. So it is. But part of the whole thing with that had driven this to make this a lot faster, because usually they wouldn't put the rate increases in until after the beginning of the fiscal year. They would shut the system down right at the end of June and then put them in, and then July 1st it would be available. I have been complaining for a while about the fact that after the rate increase was approved, that they were requiring support coordinators to send all authorizations out by June 1st, so by tomorrow, without having the rate in there. And then we were going to have to do the entire process again at the end or the beginning of July when the rate increases were applied. And the workload is incredible. It's a lot. Just our agency alone, it takes over a week for 2 people to pull all the authorizations and then separate, disseminate, track them, all that stuff. So it was to have to do that twice was like just not okay. So they accelerated it, they put it in. So yeah, I was very glad to see that they were doing that. They had told us that last week that they were looking to do it.
Well, Melissa, it's not complaining. It's really actually the advocacy to make systems effective. And, one of the things that
I like that. It sounds better than
it is. Well, it is a lot better because the truth is there's a morale issue in support coordination from overwork, frustration, repetition of paperwork, loss, a lack of streamlining that kind of ties together with some of the other July 1 implementations, specifically around online application and status tracking of what you put in. And that's a huge change. So part of that was about the 385-day story that became some of the legislative language about transparency. So when the support coordination part is somewhat challenged because the systems are down, some folks would wonder if it may be best if it didn't come back, but that's another story. Amanda, you have been talking in your process when you've reconnected with Director Hatch through your connections at the DD Day about the streamlining of, in effect, improving the streamlining of some of the processes. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that connects back to Melissa, which also connects back to morale. And if you can do it once, which you brilliantly recognize that I've been down this circus before, and we're triple doing the business, Melissa, and all the folks that are in sport coordination have been so frustrated. So I'm glad they're hearing you. And now to look at kind of shifting or tagging on, tell us a little bit about your engagement with and the use of the graphic that was created by Stephanie to show the process for becoming onboarded for APD.
Sure. So at DD Day, I had the opportunity to speak with Director Hatch and shared our story, or mine, or Jaden's story, really. Followed that up with an email the following day, and yeah, the rest was history. Everything was approved after that, and we are golden now. But in my email, I stressed that, you know, our group, our whole mission is to help, basically help them help us. Or yeah, so, you know, if we could open those lines of communication, and because if we know what to advocate for to help them, then in some cases, like we saw, it's better received from the actual families that are affected by the system, and so, which brought change about. So with that, a few weeks ago, I got a call from a Tallahassee number, and I was like, it's not saved. I don't know who this is. I'm not answering. And then I listened to the message, and it said, "Hi, Amanda, this is Taylor Hatch from Agency for Persons with Disabilities." And, you know, I don't know if you remember, but we spoke at session, and you had offered to, you know, feedback, and was wondering if you would be willing to talk with us. And I obviously called back, yes, I would. So we met a couple of weeks ago. Actually, no, was it last Friday? No, Friday before last. I don't know. Oh yeah, no, after our meeting, we met with her. I'm all over the place. Sorry, y'all. But what the main thing with that meeting, it was supposed to be a 30-minute meeting. It turned into an hour, but they were explaining, you know, what changes they were wanting to do for the online application. And they had also done some focus groups, I think down in Miami, she said. And I like everything that they were saying that they're planning to make changes to. One, make the application less confusing. And I had also, or the week before, I had sent her Stephanie's amazing, like, step-by-step guide, and she said several times how that was great and very helpful. And she said that they were definitely going to do a checklist. I said it needs to be comprehensive. I said you need one for minors, because you don't need an IEP for adults, so that needs to be in there. and just basically throwing spaghetti at the wall and just throwing out different ideas. So,
Well, let me interject for 1 second though. Well, in that process, what you were able to also experience was a kind of a more high level breakdown graphically that could help drive the conversation of here's the current nuts and bolts of how step by step it works unless you tell us something's wrong here. And
right.
the process here is how do we streamline it? So having something graphically, because being mom, being a mom, being able to be an advocate is great. Being able to also be the conduit and funnel for this has been even better, because then you showed up with this book that had been written by Stephanie. That was really a breakdown that was used for Collier County family training. Okay, so that's that mechanism of visualizing a process and being able to then identify solutions is kind of where we go from here. Is that you're in a process now working with them to try to take, and now they have basically a checklist of here's the steps, here's what we're required to do by the law, how do we address these steps, and we keep going forward, while simultaneously there's a bunch of steps in there that haven't been addressed yet. And that's where the next phase comes in of this year, is if we're looking for additional legislation to improve other parts of this, it's the family stories and family examples and the family solutions many times that'll go. So we're working on a graphic that says, here's areas that still need to be addressed. Any ideas? Any examples that would help tell the story to help make it be addressed? So your process is ongoing. Your engagement is ongoing with the Director Hatch and the group.
Yes. So we'll go over some more things with the application, but also with marketing, because one of the things that I mentioned is that, I can't even count how many people that I've talked to that have no idea who APD even is. And I said, so like my mission has been to just spread that awareness, because if they don't know who they are, they're not filling out the application. So the numbers that APD is projecting and putting out there are not accurate. So
and the legislature doesn't know it, and it doesn't happen. But how much outreach and marketing do you think an agency with $1 billion underfunding is going to spend in reaching out to folks? Not much.
It just hit me. They got all these hope people where they're giving them $10,000 a piece. Maybe we can reach out to them and ask if they'll, host the disability days with their church or whatever, and we can give them information. I mean, maybe they accidentally set something up to, help educate people, because doesn't seem to be any willingness to try to educate the community.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
I think that is brilliant. They also, they've got the family care councils all across the state to reach out to families for input, already established in legislation, ready to go.
And we got, so the new shiny thing, the Hope Navigators. So we got to be sure we put some love on the Hope Shiny, the new shiny thing, by making sure it can actually be beneficial. The lack of understanding of the true depth of the wait list is critical. The streamlining of the system is critical. The access to data on a more streamlined basis is critical. Fino's on the phone, so I can't go to him.
Does anybody else have anything about specific planning of our big event? Is there a Margaret?
Margaret may have been gone. She was here, but
she was. I think I lost her on the screen. Does anybody have any questions? Some of us, I've gone maybe 6 or 7 times to the cafe, but just as a participant. Tom's done it from the beginning in every area and facet. I know Allison, yeah, Allison's on the call. She's never been. She's taken her
never been.
kids.
Oh no, I've been
Never
once. I went a long time ago when Joseph was like 2. So
Oh,
it's been like 4 years. So
we
it's been
had
a
a
while.
couple questions on the Facebook group. Does anyone have any questions since you're here and we're talking about it? Oh, Fina's back. Sandy, do you want to unmute? Maybe.
I don't have questions. I've been several times. I just might suggest to people, one, there is an app that you can download. I don't think they have the current guide in there yet because they just released it, but I suggest you do that. I also suggest you pick more than one session for each thing, the backup, because one, some get canceled and rearranged. Two, one may not be as good as you think it was when you got there, or three, sometimes I go to two because I don't know if they're handing out as much now. They used to give a lot more handouts, and I would go to one, get what I could, and I'd run to the other to get a resource because I couldn't attend both. So I just wanted to say that, and just recognize that you'll be drinking from a fire hydrant. And so when you get overwhelmed, just step back and take a break. And don't worry about your kids. Parents are very, very nice to kids. They know this is a community of disabled, and you're going to feel it's an immersion experience, and it'll blow your mind if you haven't been there before. So I encourage you to go. I encourage you to have your kids participate and go by the booths like the Florida. They've got activities for them to do. They've got special rooms for them to do. They've got, they're sponsoring the cafe room for the, I think, 13 to 30-year-olds again, as a break room with activities for them to do. So I highly recommend you participate.
The dance, there's always the dance, and that's a
yes, and the dance, and it's a lot of fun. And don't forget, they also offer discounts. So show your tag if you're buying anything at the hotel.
It's 20%.
So,
Great tips. Thank you.
Wow, those are fabulous.
I know.
Thank you.
And I take an extra bag separately, or a backpack, something. So you just have little snacks with you.
And you might want to bring some snacks for the room because, you know, everything is expensive. So
and
many people,
and you can bring coolers. People bring whole up. They come up with carts and they're loaded up. You think they're going on a camping trip. So don't be afraid to do anything in the
set up in
parking
the lobby. Sorry, there's microwaves set up in the lobby so people bring and can kind of just make their own dinners from home, because, you know, the truth is many people are scraping by, and particularly even more so, it's very expensive these days to eat out and do out. The 20% will only make twice as expensive as it was last year. And it's those are great tips of what to do.
The other thing is, if you have an iPad, I really think an app worth owning is Notability. And there's probably something similar, and I use it for all things I attend. You can record the lecture and take notes as you're going, take pictures of the slides, and then you can go back and you're like, oh, I want to remember what they said about so-and-so. You can click on that spot and then you'll hear what they said.
And most presenters are not handing out paper anymore for
I didn't think they were, yeah.
Because it's expensive, it's not so green friendly. Most organizations don't have funding for printing much anymore. And so most folks are going to do a QR code or a link or a request information type follow-up thing where you might have a sign in. It is challenging from a presenter perspective, because sometimes you got people kind of circulating in just trying to get the handouts rather than sitting out to get the presentation. So that can be sometimes challenging. I expect our presentation to be standing room overflow out the hallway type of a thing, and that's what you got to do. You have to market these things. And so one of the notes to be is to have some flyers so that we are handing out, you know, put this on your thing, see you tomorrow or Wednesday, because not everybody's got an iPhone, got an app, or even not everybody can even read.
I also recommend scheduling time for the exhibition hall, because that's one thing I'm always not getting in there early, because there's so many, there's more, you want to go to everything and you can't. And there's usually some very interesting things. And also, if you're looking for employment and books, a lot of times they do special things on Friday. I haven't looked at the program yet, but I missed out in the past because I didn't realize they were having like disability friendly companies that were there. marketing themselves and stuff, but they were only there for a short time on Friday.
I'll tell you, this is the first year I read the program before I got it because I'm looking at it through a different set of eyes. And I would highly encourage everyone to read, just skim over the different classes, the concurrent, the presenting classes. There's a lot of groups that are talking very similar to what we're doing. And I would love for us to be able to go to their, and a lot of our members are presenters too. I know that, Michael is presenting. I would love for everyone to share what they're doing. Oh, Mandy's got a good one about TikToking. I think is going to be cool.
Jeff
Family
had something to say.
Family Care Council is presenting to the room right next to us. So I would love for us to be able to, before, after, go talk with our local family care councils, get them to know what we're up to. And we'll have QR codes. Like I said, I got stands so that families can directly input their information so they can get educated on who their legislator is, what that process is. And the other opportunity we have, I think the expo hall is going to be our biggest push to find and connect and network with families. But Amanda has sent in a proposal for us to share our story. We did this like way before the success, so that's cool. I think it was like in December.
Yeah, December or January.
December we put in, and we're going to be speaking Saturday the 15th at 11 in Celebration Hall 3, and we want our families with our t-shirts to be there so that we can really build out the message that this works and we need more.
We'll
So
have banners up and do all those kinds of things and make it a bit of a show. But Jeff, did you have something to say too?
So thank you. So I was I printed this off. This is my first time going, so I had printed it off. I'd been looking at it, and then I've been trying to listen, and I appreciate the insights there. So I guess my assumption is wrong. It's not like it's one thing. There's a number of things all going on at the same time. Does that sound right?
There's
With
20,
a general
there's 15 to
exhibition hall?
20 out of 15 to 20 presentations going on simultaneously. And
And an exhibition hall too?
the exhibition proposed nonstop, 175 exhibitors going from all day. And
And
so
you said we're going to be talking. You're presenting on Saturday in Celebration 3
at 11 o'clock for 1 hour, and that's kind of a recapping of the project and kind of what we're doing and encouraging people that to share a little bit about coming down to the exhibit hall and our this upcoming year's worth of activities. Our primary push is going to be the networking, and so a tip on going to workshops that I would encourage is look through that program like Stephanie was talking about. Really identify, here's what I want to learn. Here's what I want to target. I want to understand moving from high school to post high school. I want to understand that transition. You identify those speakers that are talking about that. And I wouldn't necessarily do back-to-back presentations. What I would recommend is hang to the end. Wait a few minutes. Wait for the presenter to be done. Connect with them, talk to them on their way out the door, hand them your flyer if you've got one, get their business call, create the kind of link that, for instance, that Amanda did at the cafe. That a couple-minute conversation ends up being a follow-up. And I've built some phenomenal lifetime allies in the cafe by seeing the presentation, having a better understanding, having gone there with some questions to be answered, and then talk to them afterwards, because they give you a generalized information and you might have a very, very specific need, but meeting somebody from Social Security that you can follow up and knows what they're talking about can be unbelievable.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just general basic thing. This is all like in the ballroom area of the Hyatt?
Well, it's the reason why we're there, it's one of the few places that can accommodate.
That's big.
It's huge.
big. It's like
And-
going to college is what it feels
Yeah.
like when you're first. That's why I wanted to pull this up, just to give everyone. There's like a great question, because my first year, it blew my mind. I took a ton of naps, and felt overwhelmed. And so the exhibition hall is big enough to home all of these groups that I'm scrolling down right now. And they are for all different purposes and all different, we've got just a ton of different places to go. And that's why when Sandy was saying, make sure you take your time with the exhibition hall, because everybody in the state of Florida that you've been wanting to talk to in one way or form is all in the same room all weekend long. In the beginning of the guide, all the letters from the agency heads, this is what they've sent in for this conference. And these letters are potentially that these people will be in the room, but at least like the Department of Education, if you look at their speakers guide, there's a ton of DOE people that are there. Department of Health is there in big members and numbers and presentations this year. I think it's really cool. I've never even knew this existed, but the Division of Emergency Management, I definitely want to talk to them. And so they have these letters that they write, and then all these exhibitions. And then as you go down, you'll see, blah, blah. Oh wait, and I always like to say this. Do you see these like little pictures? This is a cue. So if you see a presenter with like these pictures, let's see, where's advocacy? So this little like megaphone thing, that presenter is going to be talking about advocacy. So it gives you like kind of a glimpse. This is the general layout schedule of everything that's going to be going on all at once. If you look at these, like it's a lot. And then here's the breakdown of the session. So it gives like a little bit of a description. And then down here is who's presenting on it. This is Disability Rights Florida. I'm sure some of our families would love to speak with them about a few things. Social Security is going to be there. There's our little look, advocacy. Let's go down to another storm emergency planning or something. That's your little thing for that. And then look, this is like insane. And we're now Friday at 1:30. And these are all happening at the same time. And if you just flip through this guide, I mean, we've made it to 3 o'clock on Friday. It's a lot, but it's really informative if you take a few minutes and just go, there's no way I'm going to be able to back-to-back session to go to this expo hall to feed myself, to feed my family, to not know where I'm going in the meantime. But what's really cool about the conference is these are all families. So if you don't feel like you're in the right spot, you're in the perfect group of mix of people that'll help you get there. It's really incredible to see all the volunteers that are a part of this organization. It's cool.
And then, again, and Friday is softer than Saturday because a lot of people are working, traveling, coming in Friday evening. And so having an 11 o'clock on Saturday, that is like the golden hour of the busiest. It gets the most intense. Everybody's checked in, they're kind of rolling. The summit can be can historically be a pretty interesting thing.
So at 6 o'clock on Friday, our concurrent session stops and everybody meets in the main ballroom. We'll know where that is. It's like there's the big family cafe mascot and a bunch of other people outside the room welcoming people in. And this is where our leaders are going to speak. I would love for this slot, this 6 to 8 in the Plaza International Ballroom, for us to all find each other and sit together. I would love to see Governor DeSantis there. I'm not sure if he'll be there. But there will be people, and then it talks about the keynote speakers for the next day. So our session is 11 a.m. on Saturday. Everybody will most likely be at the cafe, ready to go. They'll break for lunch right after us, so we'll have to be quick and make them not hangry. And then this is going to be the keynote for the next day, and so they give this at the end. But like, there's meditation and Zumba and yoga and music. I mean, there really is a break if you need it, because a lot, at least for me, for like the first 4 years, I was like, I'm so overwhelmed and over disability. I don't know what to do. But one
And
thing,
even not just the break, what you're getting to see is organizations like Pyramid Players and other kinds of things where art and performance and different disability related opportunities in communities and community-based programs that are showing off what they're doing. It can give you some great ideas, and tell you the truth, sometimes this is percolated back to other communities that have saw that and said, I want to do that in our area.
yeah, so hey, look, I scrolled right down to where we are. So we made the booklets, and we really want people to know about where our table is and that they can come hear from families and get to know us that next Saturday. Other thing I wanted to show you with the program guide was that From thing. They have other things going on these we're still in presentation, so hang on. Like so here's your highlights. So talking about the Pyramid Players. If you look at this is like the most amazing dance band ever. Everybody gets out and boogies, and they're strategically placed right in the center of where you walk in the hotel. It's incredible. And all the kind of like additional things you can do outside of your sessions in your expo hall. So one paragraph so that you can see what you want to try to attempt. This year, I'm going to be raw, so I'm really going to try for this yoga thing. I've never done it. It looks like a great time, but everybody does their own beat. And then Saturday night historically is the big dance party where everybody goes down there and just celebrates one another, boogies. It's a great time.
It's a sensory experience beyond belief.
Yes. Yes. The other tip for newcomers is there's a pool at the cafe. So if you're bringing the family, you guys want to go take a break. There's amazing, beautiful pool. There are 14,000+ families, so it does close and open pretty frequently. Build your expectations to enjoy the outside, hopefully dip in the pool, and expect maybe some delays there. That's all. Oh, and then a duck race. I never really got into the duck race, but I know that's a big tradition. Anybody duck race enthusiasts on the call?
I'm racing on I-4
Okay. Yeah, I have no
that time.
The Cub Cafe, they are bringing this back. One of the things I think happened last year was a lot of feedback is we want something for youth of all ages to come chill, and this is going to be really cool for your teen and early adults. Young adults, and they have the little McDonald farm for the babies. Like, I know it's in here, but all this information.
Can you scroll back down to the fast right there, like yeah. So this can be an amazing experience for people to be able to get some hands-on experience with assistive technology that can really open up some amazing doors for education, for literacy, for writing, for reading, for a lot of different things, for recreational opportunities. So take a few minutes to step in there, particularly if you have a particular thing. You said, my kid's struggling with writing or reading comprehension, or their auditory comprehension is so much better than their reading. So is there anything that can work? And you go talk to these people, they can help you.
But if you look at all these names next to it, all these representatives are going to be at the cafe as well as other families. Oh, this is the thing I was super excited about. So join the momentum. Take part in the Family Cafe's newest program, the Family Run Organization Movement. And this is happening on the Thursday before. So if any of you guys are coming in, I know that there was a registration for it. I happen to be going. And I think that I don't know. I'm just trying to say there's so much to choose
Go
from.
back down to one. Go back down to where the
This, Jeff, I was going to show you. Here's a big map. This is, I feel like this doesn't do it justice. It's big, but you'll have helpers. This one, Tom?
Yes, you'll also have folks like the National Federation of Families. So there'll also be some quite a few federal, national organizations that can again create some great linkages, so where you can get some great opportunities for resources and projects and information that they're going to have. So the idea is to just be an absolute sponge and prepare to just push it beyond, carry some water with you. Bring a snack bar or something like that so you can just kind of go, because I can tell you, it could take 15 minutes to walk from one end of the conference to the other. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, it looks like there was multiple floors. Is that right?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
and some of them are confusing because the escalators, it's hard to figure
There's
out.
lots of sides. Well, they have direction pointers.
Okay.
But
Thank
yeah,
you.
I would just anticipate to go with the flow and to ask for help, and you will get it. And we will be there. I would love if you guys have one of the We the People shirts, especially on Saturday, to wear it. We have a few extras that came home from our DD day, and we'll make sure we bring those if you don't have one. If not,
Can we open it back up for orders?
yeah, they are back open for orders, so
Okay.
I'll send that out. I never closed it for orders, so if anybody
Okay.
wants to order shirts.
I posted the link for it in the
Pretty
chat.
good.
And
I
then
did.
I saw on here Julie. Julie, can you speak? Are you in the car? Julie's new and she's going to be a presenter, or not a presenter, but at the expo booth, and it's her first time at Family Cafe. So I wanted to cover, is there anybody else that had questions or wanted to talk about Family Cafe, which by the way is in 14 days from today?
And you're going to reshare out the link for the sign up so people have a chance to kind of cross-reference the program to see, oh, I'd like to see this, this, and this, but I can volunteer this slot.
Yes, Amanda or I will be right on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of us.
That's cool.
So
That's
fill
fun.
my silence and somebody ask questions.
Fino. Brother Fino, are you unmuted? I think he's muted.
Yes, I'm here.
Just checking on you, my friend. How is life in the provider world?
Life is good. Life is good. Can't complain. Those rates came at the perfect time. Put a big smile on my face. We finally got a nice increase after 30 some odd years that we've been doing this. So that definitely is going to help the bottom line and help us with a lot of the shipping costs, because shipping is killing us because it's so expensive. But I wanted to ask Melissa or even Alan if they have the answer. I know with the waiver, everything's based on a budget. Because there's this increase that's happening, are they going to make adjustments on the budget so this way towards the end of next year we don't run short on the budget, because obviously the reimbursement's a little high. I'm assuming they are, but it's always a good question to ask because you just never know. I hate to assume.
I think Melissa jumped off already.
Oh, she did.
All
right. I could always reach out to her and make sure. I wasn't sure if she was still there or not, but that's my only concern.
That's what they're working on right now, is getting budget authorizations for those rate increases so the support coordinators can get those updated purchasing plans submitted for a July 1 effective date. But in order to be able to do those updates, they had to have the new rates. And so Melissa was able to push so that they could do it all in one process rather than having to go back.
You know what, Tom, I'll be honest with you. I just went into the iConnect. I put my provider number in and all my authorizations came up and I printed them. I don't even need them to send them to me. I'm already almost done updating all my authorizations because, now that we have the Access iConnect, I could just go in and print them myself. I mean, I know they're different, but, based on the name, I know my clients. So we're already 10 feet ahead of everybody because we're already updating the ones that are clean. Nothing changes from one year to the next. Those are all already updated. There's quite a few that need to be updated because what happens is the system just copies the authorization from last year. So let's say last year I picked up a patient in the middle of the cost plan year. Let's say I picked them up in October instead of July. Well, now the new cost plan, instead of being 12 months, it's only going to be 8 months. So now they got to add the difference because I picked up that patient in the middle of the cost plan year. So it carried over last year's numbers, which are not correct because they're only for 10 months, not 12 months. But
And that's
it
why,
happens all the time.
but what's wonderful to see, instead of trying to do this and then do a retroactive payback and all the crazy stuff that took 3 times as much work, I am hopeful that this is part of an indication of maybe a change, a little bit of enthusiasm towards, let's simplify this, make it easier, recognize that we've got providers and coordinators of people that are stressing out and families. And I'm hoping that we can continue to encourage these systems to care and to be active. And a part of it's really still going to come down to, as long as there is a wait list, there is going to be a conflict, and we're going to still have to continue to work on that. Amanda, you got any, or Stephanie, any last words as we're running out of time?
Words. I wish I would have done this when everybody else was on the call, but I pasted a link to an Amazon link. Our buddy George, who went to Developmental Disability Day in Tallahassee, has published his second poetry book. I don't know if you guys remember, but Senator Pasadomo, when she was addressing our bill, said, you know, J.J. Holmes loves, you know, every subject, he said, except for poetry. And George very quickly reminded her that he loves poetry and he's written this book. So I think that if you're able to support George and get his book, he'll be at Family Cafe. I did go ahead and get a copy of his book to Senator Pasadomo so she could see all the awesome poetry. This guy, it's good stuff. Nothing more on the planning front. Please tell your friends about volunteering at our table. We need people to meet people. And Fino gave us a goal of 5,000, and I want to reach 5,000 families and get them into the fold. Amanda?
Yeah, I'm excited. This is my first time going, so I'm like going to try not to get
Amanda, whatever you do, don't put on your high heels because there's a lot of walking.
Oh no, tennis shoes
learned
this
that
time.
lesson.
No high heels. It's
Tennis
all sneakers. Because there's
Tennis
a lot of
shoes
walking.
this time. Yes, for
Been
sure.
there a few times, and it's a pretty big room.
Yeah.
And clear your schedule for a day or two afterwards. You're going to be tired.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I want to wrap up by just thanking everybody that continues to be involved and to believe and to put out the efforts. We got a big couple of weeks coming up. Please feel free to reach out if you've got questions between then. Certainly, we're setting up and getting organized in the exhibit hall on Friday. If you can stop by and double check in, you may have a better idea of more flexibility in your schedule. And we do understand and we do respect and we do appreciate, this is the family cafe. So it's one of the few places that a whole family can come and not feel like the outcast. So if you've got your family and a lot of demands that is the priority, is for your family to experience collaboration, advocacy, friendship, and empowerment in a very genuine way. And with that, we wish you all a good farewell.
Right on. Bye, guys. Happy weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.